me show you something. This is Trump overperforming his 2020 performance by 3% or more. Right? This is a statewide vote. We're not done with some of these counts out here, so this will change a little bit. But Donald Trump overperforming 2020 after January 6, 2021. That's the statewide vote. Look at this. Just look at this when you go to full count. Look at how many counties across America. 994, 4,000 plus, 4,600 plus counties and townships. But the other Midwest part of the country, all counties and townships. But in nearly 1,993 right now. This will change as we go through, but Donald Trump is overperforming. Look at where they are. He's mostly performing in red areas. His votes are getting higher in the areas where he wins elected. Yes, there are some blue places where he's overperforming, but just look at Battleground, Pennsylvania. Look at all these red counties, places where Trump wins, where he's overperforming by 3% or more what he did in 2020. Then you come out here, let's go up to Battleground, Michigan. These are the decisive states left on the board right now. Look at the areas. Those polling places are about to close in Hawaii, and we project Kamala Harris will win the state of Hawaii for electoral votes. Not a surprise. Hawaii, a reliably Democratic vote, but that doesn't mean a pickup of 4 electoral votes from Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has 230. He is 40 votes away from winning. Kamala Harris has 169 electoral votes. She is 101 votes away from the 270 needed to win. John King. So, Jake, let's look at the map where we are right now, and then we'll go through some of these battleground states where we're still waiting. But just look at the map right now. You see a lot of red, right? So let's look at the 2020 map. You see the blue, right? The blue wall states, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, right? Now watch. Now, you would so much rather be Donald Trump than the vice president. All right, and we have a projection, John. CNN can project that Kamala Harris will win the Commonwealth of Virginia. With its 13 electoral votes, will go to the Democrat Vice President Kamala Harris. What does that mean for the electoral math? Let's take a look. With 270 electoral votes needed to win, Donald Trump is only 40 behind that. With 230, Kamala Harris has 182 electoral votes. Let's bring you a key race alert. Where are we with all the states that we have not projected yet? Pennsylvania, Donald Trump in the lead, 51.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris, 47.6% of the vote. Donald Trump has a more than 213,000 vote lead over her with 84% of the estimated vote in from Pennsylvania. In Battleground, Michigan, Donald Trump up there, 51.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 47% of the vote. Donald Trump with a 107,290 vote lead over Harris, but there's still about 55% of the vote that has not been counted in Michigan. A lot of votes to count in Michigan. Wisconsin now, Donald Trump 51% of the vote, Kamala Harris 47.4%. Donald Trump with a more than 92,000 vote lead over Harris. That's with more than 3/4 of the votes counted in Wisconsin, 77% of the vote. In Battleground, Georgia, Donald Trump up 58.7% to Harris's 48.4%. Donald Trump with a 118,838 vote lead over Harris, with 93% of the estimated vote in. In Battleground, Arizona, Donald Trump up 49.8% to Harris's 49.3%. Donald Trump with a 9,600 plus vote lead. That's with slightly more than half of the vote counted in Arizona, 52%. In Nevada, Donald Trump up 73% to Harris's 26.2% of the vote. Donald Trump with an almost 11,000 vote lead. But that is, again, with only 2% of the estimated vote in Nevada counted. Still a lot of votes to count in Nevada. John? So, Jake, let's look at, right now you're looking at the big map and you're seeing all that red. Yes, Virginia is just projected for the vice president. That one's blue. I'll take a closer look in a minute at that one. But you're looking at the blue wall states. Essentially, Harris's only path is to come back in these 2 states right there. I'll give you a conceivable possibility where she only has to come back in 2 of them. But if she has to come back in all 3 of them, have a reasonable path to 270 electoral votes. So it's a problem with 68,000 votes. 4 more votes than estimate to change a little bit as but to see that, the vice president has been helpful because the building blocks that Democratic win in Pennsylvania so 78% it's 81, overcome it with huge numbers where the people live. Number one, Wayne County is still only at 16%. So if you're in the Harris campaign, you say, okay, you have almost nothing, less than 20% from Detroit. Right? So he's getting 52%. He has 88,000 votes. So you go back to 2020. Again, when Donald Trump won Michigan, he's getting 68, and he gets.
Or perhaps even the next few minutes, a nondescript U-Haul van is going to drive in one of these doors behind me here with the last remaining outstanding absentee ballots in Detroit, part of Wayne ballots, Detroit, part of Wayne County. About 4,000 we expect. That's the final batch, not just, we are told, of absentee ballots outstanding, but the final outstanding votes in Detroit, a part of Wayne County. So when that truck comes through the door, they begin to tabulate those. That gets us to the point where they're going to have, in effect, all the votes they need to count and get to that point where they're going to be ready to report those final figures. We were told it could be in the next few minutes. Watching, we'll report back when it happens. But yeah, that could be the point when you get that big back reported publicly.
All right, just in Detroit, and you were noting that you don't see in other places where there are a lot of uncommitted our viewers were able to Democratic primaries in the protest of President Biden's support for the Netanyahu government going to war on Hamas in Gaza. Democrats voted uncommitted, as if we presumably most of them as a protest vote against Biden.
Yes, absolutely. And most of them are located here in Wayne County. Again, with the Presidency. We also have traffic to the other one, to the north and to the west. Large very active right now. Next one, here, again, Washington big college campus tends to be very local pocket, progressive pocket. So wow, 55% of us that's great. Oh my God, 72%. And the math, 157,000. That gap is a
just you mess with my sis. She comfortable.
And in part because they say they have electric vehicles sitting on the lot. The union says that's BS. It's corporate greed. They're not keeping their word. But this is
predominantly black, and it has 2 universities there. So the fact that that area is going for the former president probably says something about the young black vote and the young vote in general. You probably heard some cheering. That's because they have us up on the screen behind. They heard us on because the people here, guys, they're waiting for you to make the decision. Because like I said, at 10:30, they called it for Trump, but obviously still waiting on Fox News to make that official decision. Brett, Martha?
Yeah, Madison, that area is really come around in recent years because the Harris campaign thought that they had a real shot in Georgia. We haven't called it yet. There's a reason for that. They're just waiting for other vote to come in. But there's an excitement there that they're finally going to get over the top.
Absolutely, there is an excitement here, and we've been talking to folks on the ground. The fact that Georgia will most likely flip for former President Trump again. They've said things like, enjoy this moment. We worked hard for this. Enjoy the fact that we're bringing safety back to America. They're very happy that their candidate is probably going to take home the win here. And, I've been talking to voters on the ground for days now, and I got a lot of people that said they waited and they took time to make their decision, and ultimately it came out to Trump for them. So a very dedicated voting base here. And in this room, we're at the GOP Watch Party. Obviously, they're quite excited.
Yeah. All right, Madison, thank you so much. By the way, down there.
Exactly. Say hi to everybody for us down there.
Maybe not New Edition, but something. Let's bring in our panel. Welcome back, Carl Rowe, Jessica Tarlov, and Sandra Smith, and our regulars to the right. Sandra, great job looking into the Fox News voter analysis. What are you looking at?
All right, a few things. We haven't really talked about fracking in Pennsylvania, as we do wait on results to continue to come in there. Views on fracking. This is obviously key in the state, and we know that Kamala Harris flip-flopped on this issue. And so we're looking at how voters responded to that. 62% of Pennsylvania voters say that they favor expanding fracking in that state. Those voters backed Trump by more than 2-1. That was important to those voters. We'll see how that turns out. Another big difference, Michigan union voters, that vote is looking about the same with our Fox News voter analysis when we compare it to 2020.
What's crazy is that the younger candidate, there was a lot of talk that a younger candidate would draw younger voters, but Joe Biden drew them in a larger number than she appears to have.
Carl, you've been on the back end of nights like this. You have been digging into the numbers. What board do you have for us now?
There you go.
Where we began. It all comes down to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, if it goes for Trump, will settle the contest. It will be mathematically impossible for her to win.
So as you looked at tonight, what did you see as it unfolded?
Doesn't end up going in Harris's direction. And barring some big change, she will have underperformed Biden in 2020 in every single demographic except college-educated women. And even with college-educated women, it wasn't the overwhelming win that we thought it was going to be or that was projected in some of these very prominent surveys. And when you think about the fact that there were some people, I didn't think we were going to win Iowa, but that we had seen surveys where he was only up 5 in Kansas or up 3 in Ohio. It's going to take a lot of refocusing to understand really what happened here. And it doesn't seem like it was one decision that the Harris campaign did. I'm sure if she loses Pennsylvania, there'll be a lot of Josh Shapiro discussion. This feels much bigger than any decision about having him on the ticket or going to the Al Smith dinner.
So, Carl, when Jessica just brought up a potential for 150,000 votes in Philadelphia County, I saw you had to kind of swing around. Does that not make sense to you?
No. I mean, they're pretty good at saying 89% of the vote is and 95% of the vote is and that not turning out to be. That turns out to be accurate. It's very rare. I can't imagine if one was controlling said, well, we've looked at the number and seen 90% of the vote and 85% of the vote, and that turned out to be grossly. I will say this, that didn't follow from this. Think about it that she had to face. This is an abysmal number when it comes to the approval of the sitting president. No party has elected a president.
Let me pop it off. Bring it to the biggest. Baby girl, come top it off. She said she don't like me because she love me. Love me. Oh, that bitch is just a 7, but I pop it off.
issue around transgender rights was a bigger issue than Democrats really understand what it meant, and they took what it meant for girls playing sports. I'm a father of a son and a daughter, what it means that little boys are playing a little girls' sports and going in the bathrooms. I don't think they ever we've not gotten our heads fully around that issue. So there's a lot of reckoning, and to Jessica's point, and I think a lot of reimagining who we are as a party, which I think will be good for the party if indeed the trend continues where it is this evening.
I'm not going to belabor this point, but for a candidate who Democrats who really were aggressive
you
and
and your girl are too dog. I try to come off and take you on a rendezvous. She a butterheadly shiner, we're passing through.
Yet today, to see the black vote and the Hispanic vote going exponentially more than it did before is really quite something. I mean, it's just startling.
Further sign of the decline of the influence of the mainstream media, which tends to take its cues, to say the very least, from Democrats, and to repeat with serious faces the charges he made and the outlandish claims he made about Donald Trump.
We could be getting ready for a call here soon. We're going to stay here, and we're going to go to Bill Hunter because we're looking at Pennsylvania, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, sorry, they were talking to me.
How come I always talk to you when they're talking to you?
Because of what you said over here.
All right. So that's what we're looking at. But we're also looking at the national popular vote, which he's currently leading.
Yeah, one thing I was looking at here, okay, this is Philadelphia. This is 2016. This is Trump's margin in Philadelphia, 15.5, okay? Then he comes back 4 years later, Philadelphia, that's where I mean, it's a Republican running in a blue part of the state. He's just shy of 18. Okay, so where is he tonight? He's almost at 21, okay? So hold on to that moment here, okay? There's a reason for this.
Wow, that was a nice move.
Yeah, like that? You caught me off guard. So let's go ahead and look at the vote difference for Pennsylvania. Some things I want to show you right now.
Please welcome Harris for President campaign co-chair Cedric Richmond.
Really, when we talk about the blue wall, here's where we stand right now, okay? We call on that. Trump just shy of 3 percentage points. Now tick it down 2.7. That's a live number that continues to come in. Go ahead and clear that. Let's look at the vote margin for Pennsylvania. I'm going to show you the blue wall, how, if it's moved every direction for the past 3 decades.
Good evening, Howard.
To move in the same direction yet again. Right, there's 3 counties here.
Good evening,
in Philadelphia that really tell a story. These are your flipper counties.
I want to say good evening to all of the Harris campaign, the campaign family. Thank you for all that you have done.
Leading in Northampton.
Thank you for being here.
It's flipped back the Trump.
Thank you for believing.
Look at the other end
in
of
the promise of America.
Erie's one of these bellwethers.
We still have
Kamala Harris has been leading there most of the night.
We still have
30 minutes ago
that have
flipped.
not been called yet.
In Center County.
We will continue overnight.
Right smack dab in the middle of that T that you normally get in Pennsylvania. Center County has always been the exception. It's been blue. That's where Penn State University is located, etc. That is another indication about how well Trump has done in Pennsylvania thus far tonight. There's a real good chance he flips all those and maybe more shortly. So I want to show you that. We'll go ahead and clear it
So thank
and give it back to you guys.
We believe in you.
Well,
may God bless you.
It's really interesting. We've got some action because we're hearing the former president is going to his party in West Palm, but we're also seeing Cedric Richmond in Harris Walsh's campaign co-chair speaking at the Harris Watch Party. Let's listen.
Votes to come. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Voice has spoken, so you won't hear from the Vice President tonight, but you will hear from her tomorrow. She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address our supporters, but to address the nation. So thank you. We believe in you. May God bless you. May God keep you. and go H.U. and go Harris.
Cedric Richmond, campaign
Kent County, Grand Rapids. He did it again in 2020 in a losing effort. He did it again just this past weekend, Monday night at midnight, right? He rolled into, wow. Yeah, he rolled into Florida at 5:30 in the morning. That was yesterday morning. No, it wasn't. It was this morning, wasn't it? Right. Because it was Wednesday, right? Okay, you follow me on the calendar? Okay, yeah, okay. But it's been stubborn. It appears that it will stick that way as well. Kent County and Grand Rapids will stay in the blue column. It's a changing area, you know, this west coast of Michigan. But what I'm seeing right now, even though you have just about 60% of the vote in, I'm seeing a lot of red lining up and down Lake Michigan. And for a while, you know, that had changed. It seemed to be shifting a little bit. There's a county right here called Muskegon, beautiful part of the world. And that had seemed to be drifting in the Democratic column as well. But Trump's got a firm grip on it now, 16 points. And I'll just go west of Muskegon, or sorry, south of Muskegon, west of Grand Rapids, is Ottawa County there. Like for years, this was like a Republican bastion. Trump kept it that way in 2020, winning by 21.5 points. In 2016, in Ottawa specifically, he ran away with it at 30 points. And so it will stay that way tonight. And let me just come out to real-time data here and let you know where we are statewide. You've got some vote out there, but you see this margin here yet again. Just as I'm talking here, guys, it's ticking higher. 210,967, 6.3 percentage point lead in Michigan. I'm not going to say it because it's not my job, but it looks like the blue wall could stay intact yet again for another year where it votes in unison with the winning party who takes the White House that year.
Since 1988, that has held.
I think we're getting ready for a call.
I think we are too. Are we?
Fox News can now project that the state of Georgia will go to former President Donald Trump. This was a really hard-fought battle. If you think about Georgia, loses it last time to President Biden by 11,779 votes. For some reason, that number sticks in my mind. And this is a big win. He went there, campaigned there, and so did Vice President Harris numerous times, thinking that Georgia could stay in the Democratic column.
You know, he had a difficult relationship with Governor Brian Kemp. If you remember, 4 years ago, after losing Georgia, they tried to salvage 2 Senate races in Georgia. A month later, special elections. That didn't go well either. So this is a very big win for former President Trump to, you know, have this redemption in Georgia tonight.
So now we are at electoral college vote at 248 for Trump and 216 for Harris. We have a panel. We're welcoming in Darren Shaw, a member of the Fox News Decision Desk. Welcome in Juan Williams as well, along with Karl Rove. Darren, we got you out here. We were going to say, what happened? Are we calling Georgia? And then you push the button.
Are you here to tell us that we were right when we said you called Georgia?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I thought you were going to come down here to grill me, and we preempted that.
What else are we going to call?
You guys called Georgia in the nick of time for you, Darren.
That's exactly right.
While we have you, how do you see this night? And was it like you thought going in? And as you look at the blue wall there?
Well, I think 2 things. This is an election. This is unprecedented by my standards because the more data I saw, the more possibilities seemed to unfold. There was stuff a couple weeks ago I didn't think could happen. I didn't think Trump could win, let's say, the national vote. I'm not saying he's going to, but that was something that nobody thought could happen. That's a possibility. We had a lot of conversations about whether these, swing states were going to move together or whether they were going to sort of crack and each move separately. There's a possibility tonight that, I didn't think this would happen earlier in the afternoon, but that he could sweep all of them. That's not a prediction, but it's something that's within the realm of possibility with the data we've seen.
You're saying blue wall turns into a red wall.
It's possible. And that wasn't something anybody was talking about. People talk about Michigan, in particular, as being the toughest state for Trump to crack. Now, Bill's shown the data recently. We've been looking at it for hours. Michigan's looking very difficult for her right now.
All these toss-up states have been within a point or 2. So is there any way to look at what you see now and say this could be a win in a larger percentage than that? I mean, a lot of these states are still close, but...
Right. What we're looking at right now, we have sort of model data, and we're looking to reach a certain level of statistical significance to make a call. But we're also looking at what we call the outstanding vote. And so, for instance, in the case of Georgia, we were modeling about 835,000 outstanding votes. A lion's share of them were coming from suburban Atlanta. She needed to hit about 55, 56%. She was getting about 45%. And at a certain level, that becomes a statistical impossibility. The more data you get, the less room she has to actually grow or do better than she's been performing. And so that sort of triggered the call in Georgia. We're not quite there yet in the other states, but this may not be an election where we need to be here till Thursday or Friday.
Right. And so when they say go home, relax, you're saying maybe not yet.
We'll see if they continue to count. Arizona and Nevada have been particularly stubborn about that. We understand in Nevada they don't allow any counting until the last vote has been cast, which is we think why we're getting basically nothing from Nevada so far. But Arizona, it's coming in sort of droves. But Arizona, it's coming in sort of droves. It's a close race there. Wisconsin and Michigan. Michigan seems to be counting there like 54, 55%. Wisconsin at 2 a.m. in 2020 had counted 99% of the votes. So we think there's a chance we might have enough data in Wisconsin, maybe Michigan. So we may have some resolution more quickly than we thought.
So in Pennsylvania, Sean talked about this earlier, the early vote and what that looked like and what she would have to do day of in Philadelphia and those counties right around there. Is it possible that's still out there and it's possible to do?
Well, it seems to be a probability diminishing by the hour. I think this is something from the Georgia data, but we've also seen it in Pennsylvania. Young African-American men did not come home. Part of the African-American vote came home to her, but a lot of it didn't, and there's a gender gap there. And the Georgia, I think, I have to run the numbers, and I'm not going to lay this at the feet of any demographic group in particular, but she really did seem to underachieve amongst African-American males, especially young African-American males.
I mean, it just makes me think about Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, the former president, and the very strong appeals that they made. Michelle Obama said, don't let your husband or boyfriend's rage dictate your vote. President Obama talked about bringing out the brothers and scolding them. That does not seem to have been a strategy that worked.
Darren, did the Fox News voter analysis track with what you saw with raw vote as you went around the states?
Yes. There were a couple. What we're doing early on is we get early vote from Indiana and Kentucky. It allows us to kind of figure out is the FNVA performing consistent with the data. There were a couple states where Trump overperformed a bit. Florida was one. We were a little concerned that we might be overestimating Trump's performance in rural areas. But the more data we got, the more that didn't seem to be the case. It seemed like he was basically hitting what we thought he would hit.
We've got the brain here. Did anybody else have a question for Darren?
I'm curious about immigration and what you've seen in terms of how much that played into the votes in some of these states.
Well, I think the one thing we can say is that it didn't repel people. In particular, there was some talk about the Hispanic vote coming home over the issue of immigration. That did not seem to happen much at all. The FNVA suggested, I think it was 40% was Trump's performance amongst Latinos. That ended up being, I think, within 13 or 14 points of Harris's. I mean, if you showed me data before the election and said, that he's going to get 15% of the African-American vote, 40% of the Hispanic vote, I'd say that's an awfully tough night for a Democrat to win an election in.
There's some reporting that Trump has won Erie County, Pennsylvania. Is that square with anything you understand?
I think it was on sort of a knife's edge. I don't know if Bill's got the latest data, but
it was what would go here?
It's part of her hope, right?
Went back to the Trump team, and right now, currently, just to keep you guys up to date, he leads it by a point in 1.4, which is a little less than 2,000 raw votes.
And it's 99%
left out. How much is it? 99% in, or 90? What did you say?
90%. Statewide, 90%. Darren, I got a question for you. When you think about the blue wall in the upper Midwest, when we were at the convention in Milwaukee in July, it ended on a Thursday. On a Friday, we had that national computer glitch, and all the airports were shut down. So all the delegates and all the journalists and all the campaign folks were stranded at the airport in Milwaukee. And I was still thinking at the time about, why did I just see Kid Rock? And why did I see Hulk Hogan? And why did I see Dana White? And I went to the campaign and I said, what's going on there? Because it was men. It was white men. And they said, we notice in the upper Midwest, at the time they were thinking about Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio to a lesser degree, and Pennsylvania. That's what they were thinking about. And they said, we noticed that there was a certain percentage of white men who voted in 2016. They sat out 2020, and we're trying to win them back. Is there evidence that those white males in those upper Midwest states did that tonight?
There was sort of a rule of thumb we were adopting that, and we spoke about this a little bit earlier in conversation with y'all, but that, the gender gap is a double-edged sword. The gender gap can help or hurt depending upon, the absolute level of support. We were looking at 55%. In other words, if Trump was hitting 55% with men, that was a good sign. If Harris was hitting 55% with women, that was a good sign. And in the upper Midwest states, he was getting closer to that sort of magic number than she was. So what they call it the bro strategy or whatever, it seems to have paid some dividends up there. I mean, we're still waiting, but, it's looking pretty good for him.
So we can definitively say that the poll that we don't talk about in Iowa was kind of off. The Des Moines Register poll.
I love Ann Seltzer. She's a giant and a pioneer in our field. I think what we were looking at, ironically, was not so much the top line in that race, but what Seltzer had said was that senior women were breaking away from Trump over the abortion issue. And I think our friend Sean Trende had a really good observation where he said that may be true, but it may not help Harris, because that's something that could occur in Iowa where abortion was a hot issue, but might not occur nationally in other states where abortion wasn't as salient.
We have to let you go, but really quickly, what's happening in Minnesota?
That's what I was going to ask, exact question.
Minnesota, why is that still?
They have done what sometimes they do in states. They've stopped counting votes.
Really?
And we're kind of close to...
After all we've been through with that?
After all we've been through?
We're at a level where we're close to statistical significance, but it's not quite there yet, and there are
Is Tim Walz in charge of that?
Yeah, well,
there you go.
Rumor has it.
We have to let you go because you have some more data crunching to do. We appreciate you coming
Thank you,
by.
Darren.
Thanks,
It really
Darren.
does help a lot.
For coming
Great
by.
job. Very nice to see you guys. Thank you.
Let's check in with Aisha Hosni at the
Let's
Trump
do that.
campaign headquarters. Aisha?
Hey, you guys. Well, all signs here are pointing to perhaps imminent remarks from the former president shortly. The biggest debt giveaway was a short while ago. Somebody went onto the stage right behind me and put up the glass for the teleprompter. So perhaps somebody will be speaking to the crowd here shortly, and that might be the former president. We've got eyes outside, our security details outside watching to see if the motorcade arrives from Mar-a-Lago. I did get a video from someone at the Mar-a-Lago party a short while ago, and folks there were jubilant and cheering and clapping. They had Fox News on the...
Says it is too early to call. Trump has a lead in our Fox News voter analysis, so we will get you back to Alaska when we have a little more data to report there.
And there you see 248 to 216, the Electoral College map. We are waiting on the blue wall, which could be a red wall. You just heard from Darren Shaw, and I think that data and the way he laid it out there and their decision-making really kind of lifts the curtain to how these guys operate. Based on our Fox News voter analysis, which again was 120,000 voters, that a rolling poll, and then the raw vote total that they came in. Alex Hoff is in Pennsylvania. We'll check in on the ground there. Alexander.
Hey, good to be with you. Yeah, the crowd here in Bucks County, they are excited by some trends they are seeing, not necessarily expecting the result tonight, Pennsylvania's results, and the count is historically slow. It took 4 days in 2020, but the Commonwealth Secretary does believe that it's going to be faster this time. New technology, more training will come into all this. Now, looking at Philadelphia, both the Trump and the Harris campaigns, they're saying they're outperforming there, but Team Trump feels that this could be good news for them because there are pockets of support inside of South Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia, and there is a saying that goes that Republicans can gauge how well they are doing in the state by how much they are losing Philadelphia by. Simply, it cuts into the margins that Democrats need. And here in Bucks County, they're seeing themselves on the screen right now. It means a lot. If you were to win this county, Bucks County, I mean, that would be the first time a Republican presidential candidate has taken this county since 1988. And these suburbs of Philadelphia, this is what pushed Biden over the edge in 2020. Harris needs to do well in these counties if she stands to have a chance of taking the state, guys. Brett, Martha?
Alex, thanks.
So let's go to Bill and see, what are you cooking up over there, Bill?
You know, I was just looking at New York. You know, we heard so much about MSG and the insult comic about the Puerto Rican joke. And, you know, Trump, you know, New York's his home, right? I'm now living in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. But just look at this. I'm going to go ahead and use the slide bar and just, okay, 8 years ago when he's running against Hillary Clinton, this is his margin in New York, all right? 37.5 compared to almost 59 for Hillary Clinton. And then against Joe Biden, it was what? What's it? Oh my gosh! It was 0.3 of a point. All right. And now we come to 2020 and see the numbers on the board here. That's pretty decent performance. And just getting some insight here in the New York City. He did well over 40% of the vote here in New York as well. One thing I was checking out here, guys, this is the number, right? Path to 270. I guess in theory, right now, if you were to close out, you know, you're 248. If you were to close out Pennsylvania, and even though Alaska has ranked choice voting, which could take a while to post a number here, nonetheless, that would put him right at the number of 270. So even around the blue wall, that's possible too. That goes back to the argument that we've been talking about for some time now, that Trump had more paths to the Oval Office than Harris did. Let's go and check on Pennsylvania one more time here, and we'll see. Okay, it's holding steady at 3.5. 90% of the estimated vote out there. They're now reporting here. In Michigan, you know, the blue wall, 6.3, so that number is stuck a little bit here. Estimated somewhere, maybe 40% of the vote still missing there in Michigan and Wisconsin. You know, maybe we get some more numbers in. We got 85% of the vote in here. And, you know, Trump's holding on to his 4.2 advantage in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, they take a lot of pride in what they do. They want to get the vote out quickly. Maybe Milwaukee notwithstanding, but the rest of the state, you know, that's their idea. So we could get that in. maybe a little more as we go into what, the 2 a.m. hour? Are we going to 2 a.m. or 3? What are we doing here? Arizona, sticking here at 0.7. What's that?
Just keep going.
Okay, you got it. This is Nevada, so we're starting to get our first numbers in from Nevada. For any of the nerds and geeks out there that have been deep in the weeds about the early voting, you've been watching Nevada. And Nevada's been a pretty good marker there for Republicans. This is the quick count here now. It's saying 75% of the vote is in, and Trump's got a firm lead at 3.4 points, roughly just a tad under 35,000 votes. Clark County, Las Vegas, 70% of the votes in the Silver State here all come from Nevada. Let's see what's happening right now. Okay, Harris, just a tick over 50.2 with 80%. I want to go comparison's sake, 8 years ago? Why not, right? In Nevada, I don't know what this number is. We'll find out together, okay? So Hillary Clinton did 2 points better than Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, okay, did even better. 3.5 over what Kamala Harris is putting up right now. So it appears if you're in the Trump camp, that's a pretty good number right now, just shy of 51% in Nevada early on. Here's Karl Rove's favorite place in the world. This is Washoe County, right, Karl? Right now, a point, it's close, right? 0.2 points. What happened with Biden? Was it close? Yeah, pretty close, but Biden won the county. So in all likelihood, Trump's got a chance to flip this if it holds up right now. Super slim and more votes to come in, but Nevada is looking good too. And now you start to wonder, how high does this number go on the Electoral College?
Yeah, New York Times needle is now at greater than 95% and is likely to win the popular vote, is what they have. Well, let's check in. Let's go out to Vegas. Jeff Paul is live in Las Vegas. Jeff, what's happening?
Well, a lot of excitement here and optimism at the Sam Brown Watch Party. He is, of course, the Republican candidate trying to unseat the Democratic incumbent, Senator Jackie Rosen. And just a few moments ago, when Bill was talking about Nevada, he heard a lot of cheers here from the crowd at the Sam Brown Watch Party, just knowing some of those initial numbers. It took nearly 3 hours to finally get some of those numbers. We're hoping to get another batch in the coming hours, but Nevada has an interesting law where it's, you can vote right up until the 7 o'clock hour, and if you're in line, they'll let you vote. And in order to release those results, they wait until the very last person in line votes. That person, it took 2 hours and 48 minutes, so still a very long night ahead of us. But for the folks here at the Sam Brown Watch Party, a lot of optimism in the air.
All right, Jeff Paul in Las Vegas. Jeff, thanks.
So our panel is still with us, and we have some new folks that are here as well. Kevin McCarthy is joining us. Karl Rove is back. Juan Williams is here. Great to have all of you with us. Kevin McCarthy, let me start with you. Give us an update on what your overall take on the night so far, and then maybe drill down on some of what you're seeing in these House situations as well.
The Senate Republicans did an extraordinary job to surpass all expectations. President Trump is on his way, and I think President Trump is going to help the Republicans hold the House, but it's going to be very narrow, maybe even narrower than it has.
But you think they can do it?
Even narrower than you have now, you said.
Yeah, it may be exactly the same or maybe it's not. Look at the 2 seats I said at the very beginning of the night. One, Pennsylvania 7 and Pennsylvania.
You're not going to leave from up there.
I think we're going to pick those both up. You said North Carolina won. We're probably going to lose that by 1 point. He did an extraordinary job. When you look at Maine, we're ahead there. But we have some incumbents that have fallen in New York. California just in now, but don't read those numbers yet, because it's just the first part coming in. We're going to have to wait some time to see where they're. Arizona, we've got a couple of incumbents in trouble. Bacon's coming back in Omaha, maybe there. If we hold the House, if this is a trifecta, the credit goes to President Trump. But it also fundamentally means something different. You can do reconciliation when it comes to tax reform. So you don't need 60 votes in the Senate. Having the Senate as large as it is, he's going to get the cabinet that he wants. The other thing that's going to happen is you're not going to have a Hakeem Jeffries that's going to try to impeach him every single day. So America's going to see ability to govern. And if Republicans take this moment in time to not play games and focus on the issues, they can grow it the next time. Otherwise, it's going to be very competitive.
But Juan Williams, if it's as big as we think it could be, we obviously haven't made these calls yet, but it's trending that way, and the pathway for her to win is getting narrower and narrower. Isn't it not a mandate? And Hakeem Jeffries and the thought of impeaching with what we're seeing tonight, it seems like wouldn't be the right move.
Well, I think the Democrats are, well, dispirited at this moment, and I think that the likelihood, as we pointed out, is that Trump will be the president. And I think that, for me, talking to people like Darren and political professionals around, no one anticipated the size of this mandate, as you call it. I think that there is even recriminations now among Democrats as to Biden and whether Biden should have dropped out earlier or Biden should have stayed. Would a white male have done better? Obviously, Trump has defeated 2 women and now a black woman. So there's all of these questions. But to my mind, it seems to me incredible that a guy who led an insurrection against the United States government is potentially now, like a phoenix going back into the Oval Office. It's unbelievable.
Well, you have to consider the fact, Warren, that a lot of people didn't think that was an insurrection. They thought it was a riot, but not an insurrection. And had they thought there was really was an insurrection, I don't think he could have won.
Well, I don't know.
Exaggerations about that day.
Well, I'm not exaggerating.
About the alleged threat to democracy is a piece of what happened tonight.
Well, I don't think so. I think, again, I'm giving you my perspective.
Yeah, and I'm giving you mine.
Right, so I listened to you as my friend. But I'm going to tell you what I saw was not only a riot in terms of the violence, but a direct action intended to stop certification of a presidential election.
Understood. And we've talked a lot about it.
That's why I said that.
We've talked a lot about it. The campaign,
I'm not trying to hide that.
The campaign ran a lot of ads about it, talked a lot about it, and more, half the country now, Juan is going to say, that is not what I care about. I care about my economy. I care about immigration.
No, see, that's where we differ. I'm not sold on this idea that, it was the cost of eggs. I worry that it was, I'm not voting for this woman, or I'm not voting for this black woman.
No, that's not what we see in our data.
Well, here's the thing. Where do you see that? Because a moment ago, Darren was out here and he said, in fact, not only did the bro strategy work, and the bro strategy largely worked along the lines of white men, but that the bro strategy also had some impact in terms of Latino and black men who came along and gave higher percentages.
All right, Carl, weigh in.
I just want to make one more point with Juan. I spoke to Jack Brewer this week, and here's what he said if Trump wins. He said he won because black men felt that Democrats and elites put immigrants before us. Your thoughts on that?
I just think that that's possible. I don't know that for a fact. I think there are tensions between racial groups, and people might feel that. Obviously, you can exploit those tensions, and you can exacerbate them to the point where you can politically benefit from it. Do I think that's the reason he won? No. I think the reason he won is you look at that bro strategy and the white male turnout and white grievance politics that he has used to great success in this country.
Carl, I think he's trailing his prior 2020 numbers with whites.
Well, you know what? I think that the bros,
Hispanics and black males.
Yeah. It's not sufficient to make up. It's not sufficient to have this kind of night.
I just think it is extremely odd to suggest that black men are somehow prejudiced because they vote for a white candidate who says, I want to make certain that everybody has an opportunity to succeed in our great economy. I want you to be more prosperous, and I will do things that will make it possible for you to make a better life. That is an appeal to their best instincts. He did not go out and say, vote for me because I'm not a woman. Don't vote for me because I'm a white man. That would not have attracted those votes. They got attracted to him because they thought he was a strong, effective leader, and they thought he would do something about the issues they cared the most about, which is an economy in which they think they get the short stick inflation, which has decimated their purchasing power, and illegal immigration, which has affected their communities deeply. And to suggest that somehow black men are racist because they supported a white man is just too far, Juan.
You're distorting my comments, but let me just say to you, hold on. We're not saying most black men did not vote for Donald Trump. So I never said anything like that. That's just not true.
You suggested it's only
I'm saying to you that in terms of this bro strategy for white males, the whole notion of I'm bad, I talk about women in the most disparaging way. There's some men who just say, you know what, I get into, I want to be in on that. I want to be a badass guy. And I think they like Trump's image and the character.
I think they supported him in spite of that, not because of it.
Harold Ford Jr. weighed in.
He offered to make their life better.
Look, I tend to agree with Juan about January 6th. I'm surprised by the fact that the country got over that as quickly as we seemingly did, which speaks to the political comeback. I've said here earlier, I think that the fact that some of these issues around the economy and the border were not addressed more forthrightly, I think had an impact. That being said, we're going to have some analysis around this and around whether or not the driving up support amongst men, what was behind that, how did it work, did the gender gap with women, did black women, white women, Hispanic women, we still don't know those numbers. We'll have an opportunity to dig into some of those things, but I don't interpret what Juan is saying any more than
more to talk about here.
There's a lot more coming up as election night moves on at 1:15 on the East Coast. We continue to get more vote in. We will be able to make some calls when that vote is in full. Our coverage continues next. Stay with us.
Yeah, you too. You guys make our job easy. We're finishing up.
Movement from the Mar-a-Lago Trump group, including former President Trump, who is in a very good position to be the next president this evening as well, is heading over to the Trump headquarters where there are a few thousand people who have gathered for this evening. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Obviously, when he shows up there, we will take you there live.
Well, those guys had two Make America Great hats on.
I saw someone with a really large one. Yeah.
As we look now at what we have, Pennsylvania, is this a call, ladies and gentlemen? We are now projecting that Donald J. Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania. Former President Donald J. Now, former President Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania, and we can make that call, the 19 electoral votes. That puts him at 267, not officially over the 270, but the path that it takes to get to 270, he is well on his way to becoming the 47th president of the United States in what is going to be the biggest political phoenix from the ashes story that we have.
Cleveland was not the subject of a Russia investigation, 2 impeachments, 2 assassination attempts. They have indictments, 91 indictments, convictions, and there is almost nothing that hasn't been thrown at this former president. And his tenacity in wanting to go back and run again, which he announced immediately after he lost in 2020. This is a huge historic moment in the United States of America as the former President Trump is closing in with just a few electoral votes away now from clinching 270 as Pennsylvania is called for Donald Trump.
We're looking live, 1:21 a.m. in the morning at Trump headquarters. The cheers coming up. We're told the former president is there, as well as J.D. Vance. They are getting ready to hear from former President Donald Trump again at 267. Not there yet, but looking at where that vote is in Wisconsin, where the vote is in Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and in Arizona. In Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and Arizona. No path for Vice President Harris. And just 30,000 feet.
No one could have imagined that fail rate for government to come back This is extraordinary.
He campaigned so energetically, ruthlessly, fiercely, and with more joy than Kamala Harris. And it was so clear that Joe Biden was not going to be able to get distance. If Joe Biden were still on the ticket tonight, who knows what tonight might have been, then he has been able to accomplish this in this short of a stop. It's amazing. And also I think about Susie Wiles, who's his campaign manager. Very quiet, does not like the limelight, first lost people who works on him. All of those people who worked so hard and stuck by Trump, no matter what was said about him, they were Hitler and Nazis, and they think they're that's on my list. Last night, everyone was rowdy. Oprah Winfrey said that if Donald Trump was elected again, basically America off, America's just going to fall apart. That's obviously not true, although I'll be surprised tomorrow if there's a big line at JFK with celebrities leaving the country, as they said they were going to. This is the greatest country, and there will be so many opportunities for lots of deal making. I think President Trump will be able to, but to do this. Biden and Harris have left a mess. His closing argument was, she broke it, I will fix it. And she talks about having a to-do list. He's got a to-do list, but he thrives on it. And you saw that through the whole thing.
He is, I think, enthusiastic about doing the job of President Harold, and it is just an absolutely remarkable. I think if you wrote this as a movie script, people would say this could never happen in the United States of America.
He's a single, I've said this before, he's the single greatest political athlete I've ever seen. And tonight he proved why. I was saying some things that I didn't quite understand. Maybe the track.
He doesn't avoid coming
most wholesome way, didn't talk about it in the most comprehensive way, but he connected with voters. Let us not be critical of people for voting for President Trump. He did something here shortly once Alaska comes in. Don't write off the American people. Let us not be critical of people for voting for President Trump. He did something we didn't do in this campaign. We had to reevaluate, reassess. Mr. Wonderful said it a little earlier that may give us an opportunity as a party to revamp, and perhaps we should think about that. But don't write off the people, the American people, for the decision they made this evening.
Charlie Hurt, he will be the 47th president of the United States after everything that we saw in this election. It's hard to understand how some in the mainstream media are going to take this, because it was so over the top one way that they thought it was done. There was a landslide prediction from a lot in the media that she was going to have the landslide. It looks like he's going to have the landslide tonight.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. The revolution rolls on, and this is not just a victory for the White House tonight, but
also, this is the end of the old Republican Party, which, of course, Donald Trump took on. That was the first thing that he did. The very first thing that he did in 2015 was take on the old Republican Party. He has completely reshaped the Republican Party. The Republican Party is no longer doesn't stand for a lot of things that it stood for before. He's made it a far more middle class, working class, a far more practical party, I think probably a far more durable party, and he's figured out how to win with that. And you can't help but think that with this victory, in 4 years from now, he's going to have the mantle that he can hand to the next Republican. So I don't know how Republicans ever go back to the old party that they were. But it is truly extraordinary, and it is all by the force of one guy. One man who had the fortitude, the strength, the vision, the refusal to accept anything, all of the experts counting him out, and he just kept on fighting.
Charlie, it would have been one thing for him to come back from a single defeat to be elected again. But when you think about it, he came back from a series of them. I mean, his party lost in the midterm in
2018.
They lost in 2018. They lost the presidential election in 2020, and they had a major disappointment in 2022. Which, one might have thought after all that the party wouldn't turn to him again, and yet, in the face of that, plus all the things that Martha enumerated, the indictments, and all the other troubles that he had, for him to come back from that is really quite right.
And think about how toxic he was after, say, January 6th. And then you're looking at races now in states where Donald Trump very well may drag Republicans, and he's overperforming in a lot of places fellow Republicans.
It really does. I think there are parallels to 1980, Mark Penn. When you look at Jimmy Carter, we had hostages in Iran. We have hostages in Gaza right now. Very high inflation and a malaise in many ways in the country that I think these people who have been called a lot of names have had enough of. What is your impression of what this means tonight?
Well, I think this means a lot to a lot of people. I think the working class are looking for a renewal of American jobs. I think people are looking for a border and an immigration system that works. I think a lot of people over in the Middle East are looking for Iran in the face of a president whom they fear. I think it's going to be incumbent on the Democratic Party to understand that the people have to disassemble and dismantle this system that they have built up here, which is going to raise a whole series of questions that are going to have to be answered now. But they cannot say that they are better than recreate a system that does not recognize that people have spoken, and he is going to be the 47th president.
We haven't talked about foreign policy a lot, but imagine the South, making normalization in the face of the new Israel, in the face of the new president. There tomorrow night. Imagine a Ukraine. Trump talks about Kevin O'Leary. Donald Trump talks about Kevin O'Leary. What is the market of this?
What's happened here is the system. When you try and break the American model, it fixes itself. And I think people should give credit within the Democratic Party. Within the Democratic Party, save them tonight too, because they're going to have to take a spatula to these policies and bring it back to the center and bring it back to the center. Over the next 4 years, and reset. We talked about the reset. We just say entrepreneurship. You say entrepreneurship. The entire model of the S&P 500 be 20% higher was a really bad idea. Higher was a really bad idea. Self-corrected. Why I'm getting on a plane tomorrow night. I intentionally go to Geneva. So I can go to Geneva, go to Riyadh, and say it's 21%, 100% not going to change. 100% not going to change. That is very important for people like me to bring capital back to this country. Itself. It fixed itself. And I think that's why America works. I think that's why America works. When it gets too crazy, it fixes whether you love Trump or you hate him. Whether you love Trump or you hate him, every Democrat owes very much, Mr. President.
By the way, as the markets, the poly market, and all these electron markets are moving exponential. Bitcoin.
Yes, I'm wrong. Yes, I'm wrong. Bitcoin.
speaking of, I'm also struck by calling Pennsylvania here, Dana. Trump embraced Elon Musk in an enormous way. A lot of people that stories were written that said in Pennsylvania that the people who were working on his teams didn't know what they were doing. He's going to
criticism $1 million giveaway for Melania Zito, who's somebody that we follow, and she knows that area very well. She knows that area very well. She said that the people of that region, somebody who wants to create jobs, looking into the future, and they can get behind that, and they can get behind that, and leadership takes courage, and leadership takes be willing to make decisions. You have to be willing to make decisions where you are going to be criticized. I think this is one of the problems that Kamala Harris doesn't want to take a position on anything. She doesn't even take a position on anything. We haven't even talked about how in California law to basically make shoplifting illegal passed overwhelmingly against the DA in Los Angeles. Lost by 22 votes. This is in California. So this is in California. 2 days before 22 points. 2 days before 22 points. Thank you. Wouldn't even take a position. 75% of the people. 75% of the people can't take a position to be with them.
When you were involved.
So not wanting to take a position and not being willing to be criticized is a problem if you want to be a leader at that
She had that affliction in 2020. She had that affliction in 2020. Why didn't your party say, you're not the right candidate?
Well, they did. They ran out of votes passed in 2019. Votes were passed in 2019.
The same problem she had in 2020. The same problem she had in 2020. Hit her in 2024. It's not all her fault. It's not all her fault. They put her in a race that she couldn't win. Well, we now know couldn't win.
I agree with you. I agree with you. We should be more wealth, more innovation, more innovation, more therapeutics over the last 3 years. Therapeutics over the last 3 years. So I hear you. Democrats are not bad. Some things she proposed, some things she proposed. With you, we're a great country. We're going to continue to be great. We're going to continue to be great and believe the president will be great again. I want to thank inherited an economy also in pretty good shape. I don't want to call about pretty good shape. I don't want to call about that. I agree with you. I want the country to be great. I want the country to be great. The parties can work together to try and do that. Can work together to try and do that. President Trump, what a great President Trump. I agree with what a great one. And I agree he's got to reimagine and reinvent itself. It's
the unity of past presidents, past losers and winners. This is a big speech, Brett. This is a big speech, Brett. He gets ready to deliver this in front of a crowd. He's obviously taken the slings and arrows and everything that's been said, and everything that's been said, all of the things we talked about. But this moment is actually
it's an opportunity if you choose to do that. It's also an opportunity to do that. It's also something you got to wonder how many people are alive out here.
They're there.
People are still up. A lot of people are still up.
I bet they're still up.
I think back to the moment in Iowa, at the beginning of this process, Brad, when we were in the town hall, we asked him about all of this stuff, and that he was going to want retribution. And this is when he had language that was matched that, but he said that he wanted success. But he said that he wanted success to be his revenge, and that he wanted a successful America. And I would imagine that we're going to hear something along those lines tonight. But we'll see along those lines tonight. But we'll see.
You quoted one of those great old Republican presidents said that a campaign is a disagreement and an election is a decision, and decisions clear the way for harmony and peace.
There are a lot of Thanksgiving tables that people are still diselected. And if you passing the Brussels sprouts is not going to be as easy. But this is a chance. to move forward.
I was just going to say that one thing that Biden was elected. We had every reason to believe that he would be this deal-making guy. Yes, he's always followed through. yes, he's always followed party, but he wouldn't cross the aisle. He wouldn't cross the aisle with many senators. I thought that would probably be the center. I thought that would probably be the. Then something happened. And then something happened. Georgia and made a mess of that Georgia. Those two senators. Those two senators. Democrats ended up with control. Democrats ended up with which point old Biden started. Which point old Biden started hysterical sugar plums. Hysterical sugar plums. And went out for a very aggressive agenda. For a very aggressive agenda. Well, in my view, that was he would have been if Republicans had maintained control. Republicans maintained control of the Senate. It was all that wild spending. It was all that wild spending that led to a big part of it. It led to a big part of it. And the country would have been better off because the country is always a danger and overreaching. Always a danger and overreaching. One wonders if Trump will be sober-minded about Trump will be sober-minded about
I think that happened to Biden. I think that happened to Biden. He said he's going to be returned on. He said the historians came in and said no. And then the historians came in and said no. You can be bigger than FDR. Spend all the money. Then it's fine. Okay, spend all the money. Then it caused inflation, and now they end up with this result.
He had said that this like new President Trump, if he gets to 270, which we expect he will, we expect he will. Yes, exactly. Has a moment to bring about the unity that people expected after the last election. We would be kidding ourselves to think that there won't be a tremendous response to in a lot of tremendous corners of the country.
So listen, he's going to get there. He's going to get there. We're not done. Republicans, we're not done. States, there could be even more states. There could be even more states. This could be a massive. This could landslide just in the polls. What we're looking at. Fox News decision desk count now projected. Minnesota will win. And her running mate Tim Walz serves as state's governor there. Up to 267, up to 266, but again, 226. Donald J. Trump will be president of the United States. More democracy 24. More democracy 24. Special coverage next.
If you have generalized myasthenia gravis, life could look like. Picture what life could look like with a subcutaneous injection. A subcutaneous injection that takes about 30
to her crowd at her watch party at around 12:30 tonight and told them to go home and go to sleep, where here they extended this ballroom venue all through the night if they had to, and now it looks like the crowd is fired up as they await former President Trump taking the stage.
Thank you. It is really somebody to point out how big the coattails could be tonight. Think about Bernie Moreno in Ohio.
He's my neighbor.
In the water against he wins. We have right now, as Grady mentioned, Michigan is Mike Rogers in Michigan is up closer. Looks like he is getting closer. We haven't made a call there yet. In Wisconsin, Hovde in Wisconsin right now, leading. Sam Brown in Nevada. Sam Brown in Nevada is closing in on Jackie Rose. We're talking about historic numbers here. If all of these dominoes fall, you're talking about a Senate that could be 54-46. 55-45. That wasn't in the cards. That wasn't in the cards. That wasn't on anybody's bingo card when you came into election night.
But these candidates have all really strong races, and they have all really strong races, and they have all closed in a very strong way. And in fact, many of them were sort of pulling into +5, +6 in just over the last 3 weeks. So it's a fascinating part of the story. Hopefully, we'll be able to call some more of those soon.
Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says, with these coattails, you could see the House going Republican as well, and that would be a part of this story as well. Let's go back out to Trace Gallagher on the West Coast with his panel. Hey, Trace.
Martha, thank you. Brett, thank you. Martha, thank you as well. We've got our panel: Steve Hilton, Jody Armour, Kayla McGee-White, and John O'Caldwell. You're talking to your panel, Brett and Martha, and we were talking to ours. And Kayla McGee-White was struck by the whole concept that again Trump was undercounted.
This is the third consecutive polling miss in a presidential cycle for Donald Trump. And we really need to be asking ourselves, why do they keep getting it wrong? And at this point, it is a choice. Back in 2016, you could argue that you were blindsided. You didn't expect it. You cannot say that anymore. This was predictable from the very start. And I think the reason they keep getting it wrong is because they still don't understand the average Trump voter. They cannot wrap their heads around why so many people support him. And it's because for a long time,
actually for the past decade or so, Democrats in power didn't think they needed to. And even worse, they didn't want to. They didn't want to have to stoop down to understand the concerns over immigration, over the economy. And guess what? The American people sent a very clear message tonight that you better start paying attention, and you better start paying attention soon.
We heard a lot of words, demographic. I don't know how many times we heard it, Steve Hilton, but Gianna, you talk about black voters, black male voters especially. We heard it again and again tonight, and you think it's worth talking about.
I think this is a historic night. Black men will now, those who voted for Trump will be counted as those who helped save America from further decline. I mean, Kamala Harris has tried her best to create these accents, like, you better thank a union member, all of these things that she's done to try to appeal to this community, even going on Oprah Winfrey's talk show or whatever that was, to say, oh, I'll pull out my gun and shoot someone that tries to come into my house. I mean, this is become nonsensical to the point that I don't know if we're looking at Medea runs for president or not. I mean, this is outstanding what has happened from the black male perspective, and I hope the Republican Party takes note.
Yeah, and you talk about young males and younger voters, Jody Armour. You're a law professor at the University of Southern California. You know what young people are geared into. Are you surprised when you see these voter analysis numbers that young voters came out heavy for Donald Trump?
Yeah, well, young voters can sniff out a fraud. They can sniff out somebody who's chameleon-like. She changes her position according to the prevailing winds. They didn't like that. Many across the country, young students said, for me, a red line also is mass atrocities, is collective punishment, is what I see going on in the Middle East, and I see us as complicit in. So they, were saying, I'm not just that enthusiastic, and I'm not going to get out.
I got 15 seconds for you, Steve.
I just think when I see this unfold, Trace, it is just a massive victory.
Oh, we got to jump back. Sorry, guys, back to you. We got Trump.
Trace, thank you. Trace, thank you. The Fox News decision desk can now officially project will become Donald Trump, the 42nd president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms. Cleveland in the late 1800s. Senator J.D. Vance will become the 50th of the United States. Voters expressed deep frustration with the Biden administration, President Trump and the future President Trump in urban areas, particularly with men, proving that the strategy that they've doubled and tripled down on over the course of the last few months succeeded and brought him back to the White House.
47th President of the United States, 7th President of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris, who entered this race just over 100 days ago. For Democrats, and they were projecting the running the table with Battleground David Plouffe with the Democratic campaign of Harris campaign suggested that just yesterday. Now it is possible. Now it is possible. Donald Trump runs the table. Donald Trump runs the table. And builds on a landslide electoral win. We don't know where the popular vote is going to finish out. We do know that he will be going back to the White House, and with him will be a lot of changes. Because he will have been there once, because he will have been there once, and will know what he wants to do.
He had so much turnover, and he had so much turnover in his term as president, or the fact that his term as president, he really know Washington, he really know Washington, new to this realm, that he to win the presidency and he promises us and he promises us. Now he knows whom he wants to hire. Now he knows whom he wants to hire. Now he wants to have around him. The kind of people he wants to have around him. Means a lot of very experienced people around Washington will be ruled out. Maybe they Washington will be ruled out. It's going to be very interesting to see the kind of people he reaches out to and the days and weeks ahead as he
We're joined by Kayleigh McEnany, Trade Gowdy, and Kayleigh, you've been part of the last administration. You can see the joy on all these people's faces. Think about the angst. Think about the angst and all that this campaign has been through. There is the prospect. There is the creating what you want to create. Creating the second administration. In the second administration, your thoughts. 30,000 feet.
Indictments
2 assassination attempts, 2 assassination attempts come from behind victory, and history is made tonight. And history is made tonight. This is a huge moment because this is a tectonic shift of the Republican Party. If all of this exit polling is true, all of this exit polling is true, black voters, Latino voters, black voters, Latino voters, young voters coming in a way bring in in a very long time, and that's due in a very long time. President now, soon to be President now, soon to be. And I just want to say this as we wait for him to come out. I remember having a conversation with Ivanka Trump in 2016 about his remarks. In 2016 about his remarks. Before he went out to give those remarks, he had speech A and speech B. He had speech A and speech B. Was a more boisterous, Trumpian speech. Trumpian speech full of unity. And he looked up Ivanka said, and he looked up the faces of crying Hillary voters. He ripped up the boisterous speech. He ripped up the boisterous speech and said he wanted to heal the nation. And the first words he said for Hillary Clinton, for her service to our country, and then he said now it is time for America to bind for America's of division. And he said we are a party of all races. He said we are a party of all races, religions. That is more true tonight than it was 8 years ago. True tonight than it was 8 years ago. President Trump right now, and I fully expect is maybe ripping up that more boisterous speech, is maybe ripping up that more boisterous speech and preparing to unite the country.
It's an amazing message.
Kayla's right. Kayla's right. And we're going to get a chance to see here in a minute. We're going to said something on your show the other day. Said something about how one of the other things you hope about how one of the things that you hope also is they've got a little more prepared transition team and a great transition team. And I hope that there are a lot of people who want to go in and be a lot of people who want to go in and be helpful.
I think his transition team has done a wonderful job vetting potential candidates, vetting potential candidates. I think a liberated Donald Trump is never going to be on the ballot again. He's never going to be on the ballot again. This is his last term. He will surprise his detractors. I think he will be not anything like what his detractors have described him as being. Now that he is liberated. Now that he is liberated. You can hold me to that. If I'm wrong, you can hold me to that. But I think a liberated Donald Trump is going to shock his detractors.
He has said that the assassination attempts had an impact on him. We saw him in many ways return to the very rough and tumble style that we've seen in Donald Trump towards the end of this. But now he will take the stage tonight as the next president of the United States. Next president of the United States. He will not be able to run again. He will not be able to run again. And I think that is another liberating factor potentially for President Trump.
Underestimate the power of the president who was caught lightning in a bottle. And the second time around, he now has a mandate. He now has a Senate that he can use to push through his cabinet appointees, who can work with him on legislation, who can work with him on legislation, who can potentially replace on the Supreme Court, justices on the Supreme Court. He could build a wall. He has a working group in Washington, D.C. We'll see what happens with the House. We'll see what happens with the House. But he also has been working very hard to get the right people around him. He talks about the lessons he's learned. He talks about the lessons he's learned in the White House. So this is a mandate tonight for him. This is a mandate tonight for him. And I think you should get a lot of credit and I think you should get a lot of credit for going to these states to pull these Senate candidates across the line.
What do you think the analysis is going to be? The analysis is going to be. There's going to be a lot of time to digest all of this. Now on what the president. We're focused now on what the incoming president is going to say. Incoming president is going to say. What do you think the analysis is going to be? What do you think the analysis is going to be on the Democratic Party?
I think it's going to be agonizing. I think it's going to take a little while. I think it's going to take a little while for a consensus to form about what the party needs to do next, what the party needs to do wrong this time, what it did wrong this time, and it'll be grudging at first. It'll be grudging at first. And certainly, imagine the smart, party were smart, shrewd political voices. That there'd be some major changes in their agenda, and their approach. And you think of the issue sets that they've tried to run on against this man, that failed. They need to reconsider all of that. But I think it'll take a while. Our colleague and friend Mark Halperin, who's been very astute this, he thinks there's going to be the streets, and people are going to blood in the streets. People are going to be hysterical. I hope not. I hope it could happen. But it could happen.
I am really looking forward to reading some of the stories. Probably with a lot of anonymous sources amongst Democrats, with the recriminations, and it's going to be fast and furious. And you will have people saying that Joe Biden should have dropped out the day after, said he was not running for re-election on the day after that midterm in 2022, and either endorsed her, let there be a primary, Dr. Jill Biden, there will be, and I wonder how chilly that
that White House is going to be for the next 90 days as they try to figure it out.
And let me just say, and let me just say, Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris will certify the election results on January 6th. The election results on January 6th.
A lot of irony in that. A lot of irony in that, Harold.
This is our country is organized. It's a great education. I think a great education. People who have very high passions in this race. There are Democrats in this race. There are Democrats fervently for Joe Biden. Were fervently for Joe Biden. Poorly during a debate. Performed poorly during a debate. To Kamala Harris, and there was genuine excitement. And there was genuine excitement. I think built over a period of time. And some of that excitement was an aversion, a dislike, and a disdain for Donald Trump. But I hope it's a moment that we can all grow from. Because if we don't, in a selfish, partisan way, Democrats won't progress. Democrats won't progress. I don't think you can fly and soar as a great country unless you have both wings working together. President Trump, tonight, I'm going to be interested in that tone. I'm going to be interested in that tone. I was reminded of your words. I was reminded of what you said as you shared it. And I remembered that story. And I hope and pray for the country tonight. Every right to be joyful. Every right to be joyful. Every right to celebrate. We'll give a speech with that tone tonight. That in many ways could help that he campaign on in this campaign.
What does this mean for the Never Trumpers and the Lincoln Project people and the Lincoln Project people like that, Bill Kristol and people like that, who seem to abandon everything they ever previously believed in order to oppose Donald Trump?
We'll get to the Never Trumpers soon enough. Hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on them. Donald Trump won this on policy and personality. I don't want to be remiss here. I don't want to be remiss here. Energy independence, manufacturing, an economy where everybody is working, no new foreign wars, getting out of the entanglements we currently have, respecting and resourcing law enforcement, military, border patrol, military. Friends, we don't get those policies without that personality. What did we hear during the Republican primary? What did we hear during the Republican primary? Without his personality. Good luck with that. Personality. You don't get the strength in this resolve. You don't get the strength in this resolve. You don't get those policies without that. You don't get those policies without that. But I want to say this. It's on this phone. But I want to say this. It's on this phone. Abedin placed the call 2:30 a.m. On November 9th, 2016. And on the other line was to concede the race to Donald Trump. To concede the race to Donald Trump on my phone. I handed it to him, Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Make sure Hillary actually concedes. And President Trump was gracious to them, too. President Trump was gracious to them, too. After the inauguration, the Obamas and the Clintons were there. I was there to see it myself. And then something just changed. The Washington Post said, let's impeach him 2 minutes after he's inaugurated. Melania wrote about this in her book. So, Melania wrote about this in her book. So, I hope everybody can unify. I hope everybody can unify. I think it starts with your party and not mine. I think it starts with your party and not mine. They had this guy in a courtroom. He's not an indoor cat again. He's not an indoor cat again. They had him in a courtroom. They have him impeached. They have him impeached. They have him. Whether people think that was justified or not, now is a good time to respect the will of the people. Respect the will of the people.
I agree. I'm just saying be a gracious winner. Let's move the country forward. That was my only point. That was my only point.
I heard a gracious winner today when I talked to him. I really did. I read a piece on Fox News. I read a piece on Fox News saying he's going to have a narrow landslide. I think he's felt that for a while. I think he's felt that for a while. He wanted to go and earn it.
And I even think the people around him have to be gracious too. I think you have to be gracious too. I
just want to say how much money was spent. $15.9 billion. If you spend $1,000 for 2,740 that would be $1 billion. That would be $1 billion. It was 16 times that. It was 16 times that on every race, on every presidency. The whole presidency, $16 billion. $16 billion. And here we are.
What is that, a check you can write for every American? What is that, a check you can write for every American? But about $50.
Race has a medium race. You know, you go back to television. You know, you go back to television. This was in some ways a podcast experience of a campaign. And those are free to go on podcasts. You wonder how much of that money really needed to be spent when there's a lot of ways to reach people. But I think it's really interesting. But I think it's really interesting and something we'll be talking about a lot in terms of these endorsements.
The final ads where they talked about making America great again, great again, but the assassination attempt and the assassination attempt, iconic image, the iconic image, and the fight.
Warrior president. Warrior president.
Yeah, toughest son of a gun we ever saw. Toughest son of a gun we ever saw. That was the last note we see in that ad. That was the last note we see in that ad. Whatever you think of the guy, you got to admire. Whatever you think of the guy, you got to admire that. I mean, adversity. Everything we've seen in everything we've seen in other political figures who've gone through all kinds of trouble. Gone through all kinds of trouble. Pale in comparison. Maybe it's time for his enemies to stop. Maybe it's time for his enemies to stop.
Not only that, but the energy that he has, the Energizer Bunny. Let's check in with Aisha Haas. Let's check in with Aisha Haas. Speaking of the Energizer Bunny at Trump headquarters in West Palm. This has been a big night. This has been a big night. It's really getting fever pitch now. It's really getting fever pitch now.
A big night, Brett and Martha. A big night, Brett and Martha. For the former president, for all of us, the president, for all of us, that have been following him around now for a year. The crowd would absolutely Fox News called it. Fox News and people were hugging each other. They were high-fiving each other. They were high-fiving each other. The people were FaceTiming. They were just couldn't believe it that this happened tonight. That has to wait tonight. Days and days and days. We are now awaiting the former president. We are now awaiting the former president. He is here in the building. He is here in the building. Running mate is now vice president elect. Now vice president. They're backstage. They're backstage. We're going to come out as soon as they're going to come out as soon as the election. So now we're just waiting. We asked for a 2-minute warning. I don't know if we're going to get one, but I don't know if we're going to get one, but hopefully we will see him soon. I just want to add a little bit of perspective, just as a Capitol Hill reporter, just as a Capitol Hill reporter that's been covering the former president for a while. When I came to Congress 3 years ago, privately with many powerful Republicans, did not want to see the former president back in Washington, and then to see the legal battles, and then to see the legal battles, Republicans having to stand up for him, and then he went through the primary process, as Kellyanne Conway just said, state by state, came back to Washington in the spring, and went to the RNC and claimed the nomination. The greatest comeback that I've ever witnessed personally. So I look forward to seeing what he says to the country here tonight, and to his supporters.
I should thank you. The Harris team is now. The Harris team is now. Vice President Harris will speak tomorrow. Vice President Harris will speak tomorrow. That will be her response to the election results. That's election results from the Harris team, which is really from the Harris team, which is really strange. From a PR perspective,
it's a shame because I remember when John Kerry did this to George W. Bush in 2004, and you work so hard, and you work so hard. I know that they're disappointed. You should concede, and let your opponent have their election night. And let their election night. And let everybody that's there at Trump. They're at Mar-a-Lago. Let them have their moment without anyone. Like, remember Andy Card had to come in and say, well, yes, we know we won, but we have to wait until John Kerry concedes, and then we all had to traipse back, and then we all had to traipse back and wait the next morning. I don't think it's right. You don't get that moment. I don't think it's right.
Let's not say there's not going to be a phone call, but she's not going to speak public. But she's not going to speak public.
They have to make it public. They have to make it public. Nobody needs to hear from her. Nobody needs to hear from her. I would do it. If I were her, I would do it tonight. People were already there.
Everybody was there, and it does feel like collect the moment, and
they were holding out hope that the blue wall could somehow come together, but it's going to be together. But it's going to be a red wall.
90 minutes before that, we're told to go to bed.
I got that text. I got that text.
90 minutes before all of this, Jen O'Malley Dillon, the Harris campaign person said, everyone can go to bed and come back tomorrow. Everyone can go to bed and come back tomorrow.
She didn't even address her own supporters. She didn't even address her own supporters. She didn't talk to the people who were assembled there for hours. It just seems very ungracious. By the way, it ended up being a very bad screen. A very bad see it in here, but you probably couldn't see it in here, but and he's expanding his folks, and he's expanding his folks. Look, I think that Kamala Harris is a sign of the times. Kamala Harris is a sign of the times. But I think that Trump's a metaphor for the country, and when he says we don't surrender, when he says we don't surrender, get back up. I just think he's. I think that's just the other thing I just want to say. Maybe it's as a Catholic. I just want to say maybe it's as a Catholic Trump supporter. Maybe it's just as a human Trump supporter. Maybe it's just as a human. We all get second chances in this life. We all get second chances in this life. We get a second chance as big as this. We get a second chance as big as this. I got to believe the man that I know, and that Kaylee that I know, is going to work with a certain alacrity and energy to get things done very quickly. What he can do through executive order, where he can do through executive order, bringing in the Congress. Nobody gets a second chance. Nobody gets a second chance. This big in their lives. Puts it on the shelf like it's a trophy. Puts it on the shelf like it's a trophy. He's going to use that as a platform. He's going to use that and undo some of these bad policies. And undo some of these bad policies. Even better. And I think these celebrities, these athletes, these athletes and innovators. He's got job creators and innovators. He's got Elon Musk and Dana. He's got people say, wow, there's an American success story. He's going to bring them a success story. He's going to bring them
Harris has now encountered what is known as the curse. That's the failure of the vice president. It's the failure of the vice president to get to the presidency. And that is Martin Van Buren in 1836, and George H.W. Bush in 1988. The question is, what the Republican Party looks like now. Kaylee, it's a multiracial party. It's a multiracial working class. It's working class. The future. Maybe it's Elon Musk. It is Elon Musk. It is podcast. Joe Rogan and podcast. There's an opportunity here on both parties to realign and realign.
There are going to be a lot of conversations that go on. Who is the next standard bearer for president? Is it J.D. Vance? Is he the one who picks up the torch after a 4-year legacy-defining term with legacy-defining term with the success that Vance describing? Is it J.D. Vance that picks it up? There's going to be a conversation about Kamala Harris over the weekend. They were saying they were knocking 1,000 doors a minute, and I have no reason to doubt that. It was an extraordinary ground game. It was an extraordinary ground game matter as much as ground games matter as much as real authentic, as much as real moments like President Trump moments on the garbage Trump, President Trump at McDonald's, these President Trump at McDonald's, that really captured the attention of the nation. And what does the Republican Party look like going forward? It's a broad coalition going forward. It's an exciting coalition, and I think it's an exciting coalition, and I think if President Trump manifests that working, no tax on tips, no tax on tips, limits on credit card interest rate, that's a working man's economic agenda. That's a working man's economic agenda in 4 years. And if he makes that happen in 4 years, like this party might look like
I'm
this
struck when you're talking about the authenticity. Because when I think about him with the French fries, at standing up with blood on his face, you can't fabricate. You can't fabricate. Consultant can create those moments. Those are authentic, and I think that is something that Kamala Harris really fell short on. In terms of the authenticity.
Yeah, if you had told me that a billionaire from New York would be able to connect America, I would have questioned that. To my friend, the gentleman from Tennessee, especially when the patient's still alive. I wonder what the Democrat Party is going to go through in the next weeks and months. Because this was a loss that I don't think anyone saw coming. Not to this magnitude. Not to this magnitude. So what does the autopsy look like? It's painful, but you have to have one. It's painful, but you have to have one. Did you lose, and how did you lose? Did you lose, and how did you lose?
The easiest way to do it for them. The easiest way to do it. Joe Biden simply said, if Joe Biden hadn't clung to the job, clung to the nomination, clung to the hidden his condition with a lot of help. Hidden his condition, they could have had a open nominating process, gotten a more attractive nominee, gotten a more attractive nominee, who've been free to walk away from and would have had a better shot. Policies and would have had a better shot. That's the easiest, simplest solution. That's the easiest, simplest solution. That's where I'm not sure that
I don't think you can pass over an African American female, which is a very loyal constituency for the Democrat Party. I don't see how they could have passed over. I don't see how they could have passed over.
But if he'd left the office and she'd run, She would have been put through and would have had competition, and the whole thing would have had competition, and the whole thing would have been different.
But Harold, you have Democratic. I mean, you have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden.
You got Josh Shapiro, you got Josh Shapiro,
and that is not the progressive Democrat that wins in a primary. So is it be a change in your party? Be a change in your party?
Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, who were not Clinton and Barack Obama party. So I think from that party. So I think tonight, what happened this evening, and what's happened over the last years, and what's happened over the last years, have been described. There were those on this panel who didn't believe that this resurrection could have occurred. This resurrection could have occurred. So if this can happen, things are possible in politics if you're willing to change, willing to have courage and determination, willing to have courage and determination. Whatever Democrat or anybody, whatever Democrat or anybody this guy who's been elected our president, who's been elected our president, personifies that courage and determination, and persistence. I think you asked a serious question, and Britt gave a very serious question. That's going to be part of the answer. I think that's going to be part of the answer. Look long and hard about, and we've got to look long and hard about whether or not the way we campaign sometimes, the way we campaign sometimes, at the end, is that the right way to do it? At the end, is that the right way to do it? Before you get there, you got to get a purpose and a message. And we've got a long history of figuring these things out as a nation, as a party. These things out as a nation, as a party. And we'll figure it out this time. So the carnage speech got a lot of attention at the inauguration. Got a lot of attention at the inauguration. Do we think that this speech, we're actually told that the teleprompters have been removed from the stage, so we could be in for a long haul. So we could be in for a long haul. What do you think? What do you think? There may not be. The other night at the he was upset that there were teleprompters because he doesn't want to use those.
Right.
So Dana, what does this speech look? So Dana, what does this speech look like?
This one right now?
Yeah.
I think you look. I don't know. He's one of the most unpredictable. He's one of the most unpredictable. That's why we're all here. So I'm wide awake. I've been awake here, and I'm wide awake. I've been awake for almost 24 hours now. Curious to see. I think curious to see. I think just thinking about this speech. I'm thinking about this speech. Inauguration speech, which would be 8 years since Carnage. Since Carnage. He has a wide range of the types of speeches that he can give. If you think even within a speech, even within a speech, if you think about the RNC convention. If you think about the RNC convention, oh wow, it started off with like, oh wow, and then it was like so long, and then kind of got off script, and people thought, and then kind of got off script, and people thought, but he didn't. I think if you look at these people, if you look at these people, take off work, who would drive somewhere in the middle of the night to go and get in line, to wait and get in line. To then stay at a rally for hours, to then stay at a rally for hours, and part of the things he has done as well, this camaraderie amongst people, so that you could go to a place where you're not afraid to wear your red MAGA hat, and you can say your red MAGA hat, and you can say, I'm not the crazy one. Oh, I'm not the crazy one. I'm not the only one who thinks the way that I do. I can actually have friends the way that I do. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be outreach. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be outreach to the other side. I love all of that. Love thy neighbor. He has created something special here. He has created something special here. I kind of want him to take a victory lap. I kind of want him to take a victory lap. I don't think this is necessarily the moment for unity, especially when she won't give him the night to celebrate and give him the night to celebrate.
Kellyanne, you were looking at the popular vote. He's still up. It's still up. Could finish up.
And part of it is because he did run up the totals. Even the places I was looking at, even in Pennsylvania, he was going to win them by Pennsylvania. He was going to win them by significant double digits when he won them. I think running up the totals in Florida, which was a swing state not that long ago, which was a swing state not that long ago, over 1.1 million votes your home state. Haley, right, your home state. And this is, look, I think that when the Democrats take a look at this candidacy, she had too much time, not enough time. Not enough candidate. She doesn't speak well, she doesn't work hard. I'm not being mean or partisan. I'm not being mean or partisan. I don't know why the country would have rewarded this candidate. When she couldn't make the case, what she does as vice president, lives in a positive way. She was given that opportunity. She was given that opportunity. I personally like to thank the women of the View tonight. For having her on. We see you. And so on and so forth. People thought they were doing her a favor because they made something. They made her something she's not. They make him something he's not. They make him something he's not. Take that one word, take that one line, take that one cherry pick this, that, the other. You never get the essence. This, that, the other. You never get the essence. Everybody remember 5 years ago? Everybody remember 5 years ago? Color dress. You hear Laura. What color dress? You see a blue dress. I see yellow. You see a blue dress. I see yellow. Same thing. We were all looking at the same thing. Donald Trump is in this country. That's the way Donald Trump is in this country. Exactly the same person. There are people who look exactly the same person. And they see two different. And they see two different. I think it's time that we try to see one. I think it's time that we try to see one. Earlier, I'm a little worried about the reaction of the Democrats and the Kamala people here. I'm very worried. I think that there are a lot of unhinged people. There are a lot of unhinged people spectrum across the political spectrum. And we give very little. We gave very little to how many anti-Kamala voters are out there. I don't want to hear the words racism. I don't want to hear the words eyesight and sexism. It's eyesight and hearing. We were listening and I'm very worried that we've not talked a lot that we've not talked a lot about people are how maybe people are angry because she lost and angry because she lost. Right. I mean, I can just imagine. I mean, I can just imagine thinking about the View a week or so ago. They were saying, what is wrong? They were saying, someone who would vote for him, someone who would vote for him. Saying, we weren't raised like this. Who raised these people? Who raised these people? So I can only imagine what tomorrow is going to look like. Tomorrow is going to look like.
I will say when we talk about the View, we talk about the View. We mentioned the carnage speech that President Trump gave at his inauguration. In my mind, automatically went to the unity speech that he mentioned unity gave a dozen times, but a half dozen times. What we got over 4 years, there was the garbage comment that didn't come in isolation. There were all kinds of comments. Neanderthal was one of the first words he used to describe those who opposed the Mark Cuban comment. He was an official surrogate of the Kamala campaign. And me and some of President Donald Trump's tweets have been, President Donald Trump's tweets have been, and I've challenged Democrats to find as one example of him disparaging half of the country, and that's something he has not done. And that's something he has not done. I expect you'll hear a unifying tone. I expect you'll hear a unifying tone. See a very successful presidency, and one untethered maybe, and one untethered maybe from holding him back. What comes to mind is an Oval Office meeting that we had, where Dr. Fauci was urging not to open the country, and I watched President Trump fight, and I watched President Trump fight, saying people are losing their jobs. Saying people are losing their jobs. The country. He wanted to do it sooner than he did. He wanted to do it sooner than he did. Goes with his instincts. I think that Donald Trump who goes with his instincts is going to be a Trump very successful country in second term. Very successful country in second term.
Martha. Joe Biden mentioned the word unity more in his inaugural address than any president. I think except if he's serious about that, he'll also pardon Donald Trump. He'll also pardon his son. He'll put pressure on Georgia and New York to end this any silver lining tonight, it is that the person that you were trying to go after. We need a justice system. We need a justice system. The lady needs to wear blindfold for a reason. We got execution of our prosecution.
Literally, his polls went
Attorney General. We need a really solid. We need a really solid Attorney General.
John Ratcliffe
can do it.
Sorry, John. Sorry, John. I apologize. Sorry.
There will be a lot of talk about Treasury Secretary, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. You've got Tom Cotton.
Well, you also have a Republican bench. Sometimes you were saying that the Democratic Party is quite old right now. There's not a great bench, although when you take governors out of states, then you leave a hole. States, then you leave a hole. Build up that bench back up. But the Republican bench is pretty strong right now.
There you see Doug Burgum. There you see Vivek Ramaswamy and Steve Gwynn, Steve Dran, his lovely wife Andrea. So people are. Are they waiting for the former president? Britt would like to know where he is. Britt would like to know where he is. Can we say tonight, though, that the melting pot still works? That the melting pot still works. Hispanics, Black Americans, working class Americans, asking what their government is going to do, asking their government to see them, asking their government to see them. And their concerns that this is American democracy in our republic.
The process works. The process works. As we get a final account of the numbers and the coalition that President Trump won President Trump. I think it'll be one that I think it'll be one that for the history books. Will be for the history books. President Bush, I think got 40+% of the Hispanic vote. 40+% of the Hispanic vote. George Bush, looks like President, at least the preliminary numbers suggest that. Preliminary numbers suggest that. As much as we talk about the unconventional aspect of this, this was conventional. People believed him. He resonated with voters. He resonated with communities. He resonated with communities, urban communities, suburban communities across the country. I congratulate him tonight. I congratulate him tonight to win. I congratulate him on his victory. I congratulate him on his victory. Wish him the best for my country. The best for my country. That the concerns that are articulated by my friend Kellyanne, that they're not realized. I hope that they're not realized. I hope my friends, and for that matter, Republicans, for that matter, Republicans, once we get past the moment here, the 24 hours of excitement and joy, 24 hours of excitement and joy and celebration, to understand that we're really celebrating, understand that we're really celebrating is the greatest experiment ever come to exist until celebrate 250 years of its own existence. 250 years of its own existence. In 2026. Those are my thoughts, Brett. Those are my thoughts, Brett.
I'm struck by the issue that of abortion because it was talked about abortion because it was talked about and it was presented as if you're a woman and you are not a woman and you are not going to support her. Then you women. They said that hate all women. They said husbands hateful towards their wives and the women in their lives if they didn't support this candidate. And I think it just goes to show that manipulating it doesn't win.
Narrowcasting us based on our gender. I think Kamala Harris talking to us from the waist down. And I think Donald Trump was talking to us from the waist up as well. That's where my eyes, my ears, my heart, my brain, and my big mouth are. My brain and my big mouth are. I mean, you got to talk to the woman in full. You got to talk to the woman in full. Know anything about the economy or know anything about the economy or Ukraine or Israel with Iran or Israel. Can't do the math on her grocery bill. Can't do the math on her grocery bill. Of course, people care. It's an insult. We care about many things. But we care about many things. We are not monolithic in life. We're not monolithic in life. We're not monolithic thinkers. But Martha, something else happened. They put these ballot initiatives on to try to get up turnout. And they did that. And it kind of backfired. Look at this. And it backfired. The other thing is, if you fire 10 abortion ballot initiatives, your conscience on abortion, separately or similarly for president. The presidential race was not a proxy for your abortion. By the way, somebody sent me the statistics. Over $500 billion spent on ads about abortion in this country. Out of $16 billion in this country, about $16 billion, 37 million for pro-lifers. 37 million. The rest was pro-lifers. I mean, it's just insane amount of money.
So we've spent a lot of time talking about markets tonight and Trey, at this point, it's at about 66% hold on to the House. Hold on to the House. They're ticking down as possibilities, and they look at these coattails, and they look at these coattails with not only the popular vote and is shaping up to be an electoral college landslide. Should he control the White House, the Senate, and the House, the Senate, like he did at the beginning of 2016? Like he did at the beginning. The possibilities open to a lot of things.
I was there in 2016. We had everything but and we had everything but and that mistake will not be made this time. That mistake will not be made this time. He will deal with the border. He will deal with tax. There is a plan being formulated by Mike Johnson right now, and John Thune right now, and John Thune or John Majority Leader. The mistakes of 2016, the mistakes of 2016 that he won. I'm not surprised that he won. I'm not saying he was surprised, but others were surprised. Remind you, Brett, when he won in 2016, you recall what he said about Hillary. She's been through enough. There was a lot of pressure to prosecute her. There was a lot of pressure to prosecute her. He said she's been through enough. Democrat friends would say the same thing about him and say enough is enough and say enough is in New York and Georgia. Biden shouldn't wait on Donald Trump to end these. They should be ended by Joe Biden. They should be ended by Joe Biden. If you really want using lawfare to divide the country, quit using the justice system to try to win political
We are still following these Senate races. Wait for the former president
there's Nigel Farage there talking. There's Nigel Farage there talking. Crowd there. Crowd there. This is remarkable. This is in that some of these races were not even expected to be close. Mike Rogers expected to be close. He was a long shot at one point against in Michigan, good candidate, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, But Sam Brown was left. But Sam Brown was left. He was essentially win. He was not going to win.
He was not on anybody's list.
Not getting much money or attention. Not getting much money or attention.
I think he's a competent candidate. I think he's a competent candidate.
By the way, there's Sam Brown right there. By the way, there's Sam Brown right there. 48.8% in. Jackie Rose 8% in. Jackie Rose
in the candidate quality cycle. Republicans, Senate Republicans fielded some pretty darn good candidates. Fielded some pretty darn good candidates. States where gave them a shot. Republicans often face an uphill battle. And the fact that it looks like it, and the fact that just a squeaker, it looks like it might be a little margin there. There might be a little margin there for Republicans.
Let's see what Wisconsin is, guys. Can we put up Wisconsin in Wisconsin? Can we put up Havdi in Wisconsin? Standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President-elect President-elect Trump, Donald J. First Lady, Melania Trump, and the Trump family, by Vice President-elect, J.D. Vance, Second Lady, Usha Vance, along with friends and campaign staff.
Well, I want to thank you all for our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help very badly, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. We made history for a reason. Tonight, and the reason is going to be just. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible. It is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory. Our country has never seen before. Nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you. With every breath, in my body. I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to America great again. And in addition to having won the battleground North Carolina, I love these places. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. We are now winning Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada, and Alaska, which result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But it's much easier doing what did, or whoever called it, because there was no other path. Because there was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Winning the popular vote was very nice. The popular vote was very nice. Very nice. I will. A great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room. Unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have they've made the journey with me. We're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday. And say that was one of the moments of my life when I voted for this group of people. Voted for this group of people. This group of great people. This group of great people. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow. Control of the Senate. Wow. That's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Texas, Nevada, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're all won by the MAGA movement. They helped so much. And in those cases, every one of them, they were tough races. They were tough races. The number of victories in the Senate was incredible. Absolutely. We did tele-rallies. We did tele-rallies with each one of them. Sometimes we did two or three. It was amazing to look at all of those victories. Nobody expected that. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. And we have very much for that. You have some great senators. You have some great new senators and some great new senators. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives. And I want to thank Mike Johnson. I think he's doing a terrific job. Terrific job. I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady. Who has the number one best-selling book in the country? Can you believe that? No, she's done a great job. Works very hard to help people. I just want to thank her, but I want to thank my whole family. I want to thank my whole family, amazing children, and they are amazing children. Now we all think our children. Everybody here thinks their children are amazing. That's a good thing when you think they are. But Don, Eric, Ivanka, Tiffany, Laura, Jared, Kimberly, Michael. Thank you all. Thank you all. What a hell. My father-in-law Victor, and we miss very much. And we Melania's mother. We miss Amalia. You would be very happy right now. She'd be so proud. She was a great woman. She was a beautiful inside and out. She was a great woman. I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States, J.D. Vance. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha Vance. And he is a feisty guy. Isn't he? I've said, go into the enemy camp. The enemy camp is. Certain networks. A lot of people don't like this. Sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay. CNN, MSDNC. He'll say, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. He's like the only guy I've ever seen. He just goes forward to it, and then he just absolutely obliterates it. Say a couple of words.
Mr. President, I appreciate you allowing me to join you. I thank you for the trust that you placed in me. And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting. We're never going to stop fighting for you, for the future of your children, the greatest political comeback in American history. We're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It turned out to be a good choice. I took a little heat at the beginning. But he was. I knew the brain was a good one. About as good as it gets. And we love the family, and we're going to have 4 years, and we're going to turn our country around. We're going to turn our country around, make it something very special. Lost that little thing called special. We have to make it special. We're going to make this so great. We're going to make this so great. It's the greatest country and potentially the greatest in the world by far. And we work very hard to get all of that back. We're going to make it the best it's ever been. If we had to wait longer, I don't know. It was going bad. We're going to have to seal up those borders. Into our country. People come into our country. We want people to come back in. But we have to. Let them come back in. But legally, they have to come legally. Let me also express my tremendous appreciation for Susie and Chris. The job you did. Come, Susie. Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back. The ice maiden. We call it the ice maiden. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background.
This wasn't expected, but obviously I just want to thank for this journey. President Trump for this journey, and he's a hell of a candidate, and he's going to be a hell of a great, and this team that we had, and the best team, even my boss, of course, Susie Wiles, Susie Wiles. Thank you, the best. Thank you.
Thank you. I've never seen her be shot before. They're great. Everybody up here is great. Everybody up here is very special. But the Trump. Did you say? Who did you say? Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born. Elon. Now he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, campaigning. You know, he sent the rocket up. 2 weeks ago. I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. When it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. Didn't look so pretty. It was going 10,000 miles an hour, and it was burning. I said, "What happened to your paint job?" He said, He said, "We've never made a paint that could withstand that kind of heat." But I saw it come down and turn around. You know, it's like 22 stories tall. It's like 22 stories taller than that, but it looks a little smaller than that. And it came down, and and you saw that fire burning. Only Elon can do this. And I tell the story. I told it last night. I had a man last night. I had a man on the phone. The screen muted. I had no screen muted. I was talking to a very important man. Happens to be a very important man. Happens to be a very important guy. One of the most important people. One of the most important people. I would say the country, actually. You know, but I was president, and now it looks like I was going to be president again. So I figured I could ask him to hold. So I asked him to hold. asked him to hold especially because you're going to be president again. So I took the phone down and I'm looking at the screen. I'm seeing this crazy thing that's going around. It crash into the gantry. Crash into the gantry. Oh no! And I said, do me a favor, would you mind holding for a couple of minutes? I thought it was a space age movie. I put the phone down. I didn't pick it up for 45 minutes, and he was holding. But this spaceship came down, and I saw those engines firing, and it looked like it was over. It was going to smash, and then it was going to smash. The fire pour out from the left side, and it put it straight. And it came down so gently, and then it wrapped those arms and it held it, and just like you hold your baby at night, your little baby. And it was a beautiful thing to see, and it was a beautiful. I said, Elon. I called Elon. I said, was that you? Was that you? Yes, it was. He said, yes, it was. I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can China do it? Can the United States do it other than you? I said, that's why I love you, Elon. That's why I love you, Elon. And you know when we had the tragic hurricane Helene in particular, and it hit North Carolina. They were really devastated. They were really devastated. Water as big as we've ever seen water hurricane. As big as we've ever seen water hurricane. It built fields, became lakes. Fields became lakes. The danger was unbelievable. The danger was the people from North Carolina came. People from North Carolina came to me. They said, "Would it be possible for you to speak to Elon Musk? For you to speak to Starlink? We need Starlink. It's a form of communication. So I called Elon. So I called Elon. He had, and it was very dangerous. People would die. It was very dangerous. People would die. There no communication. All the wires were down. I said, Elon Musk. I have something called Starlink. You have something called Starlink. Is that right? He said, what the hell is it? It's a communication system. It's a communication system. I said, Elon, they need it really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast. And it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character. He's a special guy. He's a character. He's a special guy. We have to protect our geniuses. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many. We have to protect our super geniuses. I want to thank some of the geniuses. I want to thank some of the geniuses. The U.S. Open champion. The U.S. Open champion. He's slightly longer than me. Slightly longer than me. It's a ball, a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Bryson DeChambeau. Just a little bit. Bryson DeChambeau is up here somewhere. What happened to Bryson? Where is he? Where is Bryson? Oh, he was shot. He was shot. He's hitting balls. He's hitting balls. He's on the way. He's hitting balls. He's hitting balls. Bryson. Oh, look at him. He had a great career going. Got a great U.S. Open, Bryson. Great U.S. Open, fantastic job. That's a fantastic job. And we also have a Mandana White. Who has done some job. He's a tough guy. So Dana started UFC. And came to me. Nobody wanted to use yours. Nobody wanted to get rough sport. They said it's a rough sport, a little rough. I helped him out a little bit, and this is the roughest sport I've ever seen. This is the roughest sport I've ever seen. I began to like it, and he began to like it. Nobody's done a better job. Nobody's done a better job. And you know he's a very motivational kind of a guy. Motivational kind of a guy. What he does, he gets these. They really go at it, and it's become one of the most successful enterprises anywhere at any time. Anywhere at any time. I'd like to ask Dana just to say a couple of words, because people love to hear from him.
Nobody deserves this more than him. Nobody deserves this more than his family does. Deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hard-working man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. His family are incredible, ladies and gentlemen. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. They deserve it as a family. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelt boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, Bustle with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. The mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. And thank you, America. And thank you, America. Thank you. Have a good night.
That is a piece of work. That is a piece of work. Now he's an amazing. He's really an amazing guy. But most of all, I want to thank the millions of hardworking Americans who have always been the heart and soul of this really great movement. Really great movement. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory. No other. This was something special. And this was something special. We're going to pay you back. We're going to pay you back. We're going to do the best job. We're going to turn it around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around. We're going to turn it around. We're going to do it. We're going to turn it around. We're going to do it in every way. In so many ways. This will do it in every way. Forever be remembered as the day. Be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country. So I just want to say that. This great group of people. On behalf of this hardworking people, these are hardworking, fantastic people, and we can add fantastic people, and we can add names like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He came in. And he's going to help. Make America healthy again. And now he's a great guy, and he really means it. He wants to do some things, and I just said, but leave the oil to me. Leave the oil. We have more liquid gold. We have more liquid gold than any country in the world. More than any country in the world. More than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. We have more than Russia. Stay away from the liquid gold. Other away from the liquid gold. Go have a good time, Bobby. Go have a good time, Bobby. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be reducing taxes. Nobody else can do. Nobody else can do it. China doesn't have what we have. China doesn't have what we have. Nobody has what we have. But we have the greatest people also. We have the greatest people also. Maybe that's the most important thing. This campaign so historic in so many ways. Built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. Most unified coalition. Never seen anything like it in all of American history. In all of American history, men and women, young and old, and urban, rural and urban, them all helping us tonight. Them all helping us. I was looking at it. I was watching it. Analysis of the people that voted for us. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. They came from all corners. They came from all corners. Union, non-union, African, Hispanic American, Asian American, Arab American, Muslim American. We had everybody, and it was beautiful. A historic realignment. Uniting citizens of all backgrounds around. A common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have security. Things be good, safe. We want great education. We want a strong and powerful. We want a strong and military, and ideally we don't have military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars. 4 years. Except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time. But we had no wars. But we had no wars. Start a war. They said he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop. But this is also a massive victory for democracy and for together we're going to unlock America. Together we're going to unlock America. We're going to achieve the most incredible future. Yesterday, as I stood at last stop on the campaign. I'll never be doing a rally again. I think we've done 900 rallies approximately from me. Can you imagine? 901. A lot of rallies. Everybody was sad. It was sad. Everybody was sad. This is our last rally. I said, this is our last rally. But now we're going on to something. Because the rallies were used for us. Be put in this position. But we can really help our country. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our country better than it ever has been. I said that. Many people have told me that God that spared my life for a reason. Spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country. That reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy and spirit and that I have in my soul, to the job that you entrusted to me. This is a great job to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. The most important job in the world. Just as I did in my first term, we had a great first term. A great first term. I will govern by a simple promises made, promises made. We're going to keep our promises. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. Make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years. It's time behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We have to try. It's going to happen. Success will bring us together. Will bring us together. I've seen that. I saw that in the first term. More and more successful. People started coming together. Success is going to bring us together. We are going to start. Putting America first. We have to put our country first. We have to put our country first. At least a period of time. We have to fix it. Because together we can truly make America great again for all Americans. Great again for all Americans. So I want to tell you what a great honor this is. I want to thank you. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer and stronger than before. God bless you and God bless you. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you very much.
You're always on the run now, running after somebody. كرم على المراسل قال زي واحد بتحمم والثالث مليان راح نفسه خذ لك لايف يا عمال والله إذا ما عملت أنا أزعل منك والله لا أزعل